have no idea what day today is. Meeting to order, February 11th, Judiciary Committee meeting to order. Today, we are just going to work through some bills and see, I think we'll get through them all, but we'll see how far we get. Before we begin, though, I am going to recognize Representative Humphreys.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I requested that a bill be introduced last Monday. It was RS 1094. And we are finding it to be more difficult to get it nailed down exactly how we want it phrased and what it's going to do. So I would like to withdraw that if that is agreeable to everybody.
Is there any objection? Not, we will withdraw that request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Committee, I normally go in numerical order, but the first two are Ed Klump's bills, and he had to be downstairs in another committee, so I told him we'd move those to the end. Natalie, I'm speaking to you to give you a second. So the first one we're going to work is 2098. And as soon as Natalie's ready on that one, we'll have her remind us what it's about.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2098 is the bill you heard that deals with changing a spouse's name to a name other than a former or maiden name during the course of a divorce proceeding. And I can take any specific questions.
Are there any questions for Natalie? Are there any amendments to 2098? Do not see any. What's the pleasure of the committee? Representative Hoheisel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we pass out HB 2098 favorably.
Second by Representative Schreiber. We'll get you next time. Any discussion? Seeing none, Representative Hoheisel.
I close.
For the motion, all in favor say aye. All
Aye.
opposed say no. Motion carries. The votes that want to, the individuals who would like their votes recorded, Representative Owens, Representative Hoheisel, Representative Heiberger, Representative Carmichael. That's all I see.
Chair, this is Representative Wheeler. Can we hear the way they voted? I only heard one vote on it.
I heard, we should be able to hear. If you're voting, it'd be helpful if you would unmute yourself when you do vote so we can hear you. I look at the screen and see faces moving, but yeah, if you could unmute, that's helpful. If not, I'm just guessing, and I guess you can question it when we're done. But okay, next, 2125. Natalie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2125 would allow a copy of a will to be filed and admitted into probate, as opposed to the statute right now that requires the original to be filed. It would also allow that copy to be filed at any time after filing, subject to any other applicable legal defenses to that admission. And I can take any questions.
Any questions for Natalie? Don't see any. I have one amendment, so we'll start getting that distributed out. While it's being sent to your emails and put on the screen, I will just explain it. This is one that the conferee, Tim O'Sullivan, raised in his testimony. It's adding a sentence that says an affidavit, it's a requirement that an affidavit filed pursuant to this section on or after July 1st, 2021 shall state whether the original will or a copy of such will is being filed with the court. Concern is, now that everything's done electronically, if you don't put in the affidavit whether it's the original or the copy, you're not going to know when you pull it up online. It's going to look the same. So this was at the request of the conferee. There you see it on the screen. Let me make the motion. So I've moved my amendment. Is there a second? Representative Hoheisel. Oh, thank you, Representative Carmichael.
Either way is fine, thanks.
Nope, you've got it, sir. Hoheisel seconds everything. We'll spread out the wealth a little bit. Any questions on this? Everybody's had a chance to see it? Okay, I will close and move my motion. All in favor of the amendment, say aye. All opposed, say
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Are there further amendments? Okay, we are back on 2125 as amended. Is there a motion concerning 2125? Thank you, because now Representative Hoheisel is not going to make any motions. Representative Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move that we pass out House Bill 2125 favorably.
As amended.
As amended.
Second by Representative Wheeler. Any discussion? Seeing none, you may close.
Close.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. The affirmative votes: Owens, Hoheisel, Heiberger, Carmichael. Next one, 2127. Natalie, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I think, did you say the bill number?
What bill number did I say?
You said 2127? Is that right?
Yeah, do I not want that one?
I do not believe so. That was not
Okay.
on your list yesterday. That is the one dealing with DCF open records. Did you want, I mean, that's up to you.
So that's one
Mr. Chairman, I had it on my list from yesterday.
On my list.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry, I must not have written that one down, but I can go ahead and brief it. Yep.
Well, just 1 second. Are we ready for that one, everybody? Okay, everybody's nodding. Okay, Natalie.
Okay.
It was-
House Bill 20.
I was just going to say, you are correct. It's not in the email I sent you, but I did
Oh,
add. I added it
okay,
yesterday.
that must be-
Sorry.
That must be why. House Bill 2127 relates to open records requests to DCF dealing with a child fatality. It would allow those records to be released on the filing of criminal charges related to a child fatality. And I can take any questions.
Are there questions for Natalie? Oh, Representative Carmichael, your hand's still just up, correct? Got it. Okay, no questions for Natalie. Are there amendments? Representative Heiberger.
I think I have an amendment.
Natalie's smiling.
You do. Give me just 1 second to, I kind of prepare them for like final distribution. So give me just 1 second.
Okay, and while you're taking that second, Representative O'Havison is not finding the link, so I'm going to send it to him. Make sure we get him in.
If I might, I might say I'm a little disappointed in the committee that nobody seemed to have Natalie's back a moment ago when she said she didn't have this, and everybody dove right in saying, yes, we did. I think we ought to be a little more attuned to her situation as we go.
I should
she's
probably
looking-
listen to the list better.
Sorry.
No,
Oh.
that's
Natalie, give us just a few more seconds. Let's see if we can get Representative O'Havison in here. Well, and we could sing happy birthday to Representative Neely. Pass the time. Who wants to sing? Representative Schreiber's the singer in the group. You want to lead us? Birthday to Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
And I just want it recorded that while we may not have had Natalie's back, we had our chairman's back.
Oh. Okay, we're still in a holding pattern here. I want him to be able to participate if we can figure out why he can't. There we go. Okay, he has joined us. So back to Natalie to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And it is if I'll share it, and
Oh.
if Representative Heiberger wants to defer to me, he can. But
Yes.
he
Yes, thank you for correcting me. So it's now on the screen. Representative Heiberger, would you like to explain it?
Yeah, briefly. It just addresses the concern I had about the clarity of the language. I discussed in committee. I made a suggestion to Natalie. DCF Council reviewed it and weighed in with some slight changes, and they're comfortable with it. It just makes it clear that in the event of a such fatality, when criminal charges are filed, that the records would be available.
Would you like to move your amendment?
I move my amendment.
Is there a second? Representative Wheeler, any discussion on the amendment? Representative Humphreys.
Thank you. My battery died on my computer, so I can't read that up there. Could you just, okay. Just, okay, hang on. Let me just see what it
I guess my concern was the way the original language was. If DCF couldn't release the records because they hadn't substantiated abuse and neglect, then they still might be interpreted as not able to release that in such a fatality involving abuse and neglect if that determination hadn't been made. So it's just, there's a little circularity in the definition there. I think this tries to clear it up.
Very good. Any other questions or discussion on the amendment? Do not see any. Representative Heiberger?
I close and move my motion.
You've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Any further amendments on 2127? Don't see any. What's the pleasure of the committee on this one? You won't even look at me now. Representative Heiberger.
Mr. Chair, I move that the committee recommend HB 2127 favorably for passage.
Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Samsel seconded. Any discussion on the bill as amended? Back to you, Representative Heiberger.
I close and move my motion.
The motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. The yes votes Owens, Hoheisel, Heiberger, Carmichael, and O'Hobison. Now let's look at 2152. And when
Thank you,
you're
Mr.
ready,
Chair.
Natalie. Yep.
House Bill 2152 would make some changes to clarify how property held under a transfer on death deed is distributed when one of the beneficiaries predeceases the grantor. And I can take any specific questions you have on that.
Any questions? Not seeing any. Natalie, I have an amendment. If you could get that one sent out. Committee, this balloon actually includes two changes. Again, one's brought forward by the conferee. The first one, really the second one, it said that the amendments should take effect as July 1st, 2014. That was just a mistake, needed to be updated to 2021. And then the other one, we may wait till you see this one. It's simply clarifying some language that was in there, moving it around a little bit. As you'll see, if you can see, it strikes some language and then reinserts it later in the same paragraph. It basically, that way we set what the rule is, and then there's the exception at the end. Is there any questions about that? Doesn't really change anything. We just thought I'd make it a little bit easier to follow. I don't see any questions. I will move my amendment. Is there a second? Representative Ralph, any discussion?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, could you?
Yes. Representative Heiberger.
My computer's running slow. Okay, I just got it. Never mind.
Okay, we'll take just a second so you can glance at it. Good? Okay. No further discussion. I will move my amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Any further amendments on 2152? Not seeing any? Is there a motion concerning 2152? Representative Hoheisel? Apparently not. Anyone else? Representative Schreiber?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we move House Bill 2152 favorably out for passage.
Is there, as amended?
As amended.
Is there a second? Representative Humphreys, any discussion? Not seeing any. Representative Schreiber, you can close.
Close.
For the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. The yes votes wanting to be recorded: Owens, Hoheisel, Heiberger, Carmichael, and O'Hobson. Now, we still don't have Ed, but we're going to work them anyway. 2076.
Thank you,
Natalie?
Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2876 would relates to sureties and who the person being brought in on bond is supposed to be delivered to. So right now it provides that a court in any county. This would clarify that it's the court in the county where the complaint subject to the bond was filed is where you bring that person. And I can take any questions.
Any questions? Do not see any. Are there any amendments? Representative Owens?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Natalie, if you would distribute that amendment for me. This is a very kind of straightforward amendment. As we were working with Mr. Klump and Sheriff Easter in cleaning up this statute so that it's very clear on where people are, it was brought to our attention that there was some uncertainty on who and how we define the custodial officer. Because it said it will be delivered to the custodial officer of the court. And while that is implied that that is the sheriff or the jail, unfortunately, there are a couple of counties that don't see it that way and have said that they have to be brought before the judge. Well, that doesn't work out too well on a Saturday or a Sunday when somebody needs arrested. So all this amendment does is clarify that the custodial officer of the court means the sheriff or the keeper of the jail in the county. And I move my motion.
Is there a second? Representative Ralph, discussion on the amendment. Not seeing any. Representative Owens, you may close.
I close.
For the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Are there any further amendments on 2076? Do not see any. Is there a motion concerning 2076? Representative Owens.
Sorry, I heard you were on strike. Mr. Chairman, I would move that we pass House Bill 2076 out favorably.
As amended?
As amended.
Is there a second? Representative Neely, seconds. Discussion on the bill as amended. Representative Carmichael.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If there's a strike going on, I'm not going to participate because I don't cross picket lines. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Heiberger.
Beat me to it. I was going to say that would make Representative Owens a scab, but
oh my gosh. Yeah, lost control.
Mr. Chairman, we do not refer to scabs as scabs anymore. We call them freeloaders. Scab is a politically incorrect term.
apologize. My political incorrectness.
Just please don't pick on me.
Okay, any discussion on the bill? Let's go back to Representative Owens to close.
I close, Mr. Chairman.
Heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. The affirmative votes: Owens, Hoheisel, Heiberger, Neely, Carmichael, O'Habisam. Now let's go to 2093. Natalie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2093 increases the criminal penalties for fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer when operating a stolen vehicle. It also makes fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer prima facie evidence of intent to commit theft of a vehicle. And I can take any questions.
Any questions for Natalie? Okay, are there amendments? Representative Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are actually 3 amendments. We'll go ahead and distribute those so that we can just work through them one at a time. Again, these are in consultation with Mr. Klump, and I believe they're all in an attempt to clarify some of the concerns that were brought up during the hearing. So the first one, I suppose we will go through, is clarifying that property that is a motor vehicle as defined by KSA 8-126 of a value less than $1,500 is a severity level 10 non-person felony. We wanted to make sure that that the theft, even though it's less than $1,500, still falls under the felony category.
And Mr. Chairman, for your reference, this is the balloon that's labeled theft.
Thank you. I was flipping through them trying to figure that out. Okay, so some of it's on the screen and it's being emailed out. So let's wait until this one hits your inbox because it's not going to all be able to appear on the screen at the same time.
Hopefully everybody's had a chance to review that. I think that we heard earlier today in our session about the $900 Toyota Tercel that is still very important to somebody. And so I believe that this motion accomplishes that. So I will move my motion.
Representative Heiberger?
I'm still not pulling it up.
Yeah, neither am I. Does anybody else have it? Some of you have it? Representative Burris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say that I have not yet received any emails.
Got it. Me neither. And because there's 3, maybe it's taking a little while, or maybe we should have worked the porch piracy bill first because someone's stolen our emails. Let's see.
This is Kathy. I don't have anything from Natalie yet.
Oh, sorry, Kathy. Let me figure out. I thought I sent those. Hold on.
Mr. Chair, is an email property?
I do not believe it is. So now I've just confused that whole bill, and now it's not going anywhere.
Are you sure about that?
I'm not sure about that. We'll have to look into that.
Kathy,
Mr. Chair.
I think you should have it. 2093.
Mr. Chair, I feel obligated to mention I feel we're moving a bit hastily at the moment.
I will resend these to Kathy and see.
Thank you, Natalie.
And Mr. Chairman, I concur with Representative Samsel. If we're going to have 3 amendments to this piece of legislation, maybe we ought to find a way to defer consideration to perhaps sometime next week so that all of us can actually have the amendments in front of us and give them due and proper consideration to them. I think it would be the better practice.
Mr. Chair, I have no such concern. I defer to whatever the chair wants to do.
There, I got one.
Let's get them, look at them, and see what everybody generally thinks when we get them, and then we'll decide how to proceed.
All 3 of them were sent in one email.
Okay, yeah, they have appeared, and the one we're on is labeled 2093-theft. I believe Representative Owens has explained the reason for it. Are there questions for Representative Owens or Natalie to explain exactly what this amendment would do? Representative Carmichael, I think your hand's up, or maybe it's not.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, once I get multiple screens up, then I have to get back to the WebEx screen, and so thank you for your patience. If I might inquire of either the maker of the amendment or the reviser, I think in essence what this does is, no matter how trivial the value of something defined as a motor vehicle is, it's going to be a felony. Am I reading that correctly?
Natalie, do you want to take that one just so we have a unbiased answer?
Sure. Yes. So as you guys are probably aware, right now the felony loss threshold for theft is $1,500. So property has to be worth at least $1,500 to rise to the felony level. And so this would provide that property that is a motor vehicle, theft of that will be a severity level 10 non-person felony, even if it's less than $1,500.
And so then, Mr. Chairman, my second question would be, if I happen to have a 1988 Chevy S10 Blazer laying behind the shed that hasn't been tagged or titled in years, I can't remember whether I abandoned the, I think I just returned the title and the scraps laying out there. Is it still a motor vehicle? Or would this only apply to currently registered motor vehicles? Because I think it's really something different. If somebody comes by and grabs that old Blazer and hauls it off and sells it for scrap, it'd be a metal theft that somebody to do. But is it just registered vehicles, or is it anything that has wheels and used to have a tag?
Mr. Chairman, the definition in 8.126 that is cross-referenced reads motor vehicle means every vehicle other than a motorized bicycle or a motorized wheelchair that is self-propelled.
So then it would apply to what is in essence abandoned scrap iron rusting up behind the shed. And if they stole it and we called it scrap, it'd have a value of maybe $100, $150. But because it used to have a tag and it's still got 4 wheels, we're going to make it a felony. Is that what we're doing here?
Mr. Chairman, I mean, I think that it would still have to, you know, as long as it meets that definition of a motor vehicle, which I guess would be a an issue that could be resolved in a court case if that were to happen. But
Yeah, I hate for this Judiciary Committee, in which I take great pride, to prepare legislation that only creates further litigation. And I understand what wants to be accomplished here, but I don't believe this is the way to do it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Let's go back. Representative Owens made a motion. Is there a second? Representative Hoheisel. So back, we now have a motion and a second. Further discussion on this amendment. Representative Owens.
Well, I'm trying to remember back to when we had the hearing on this and why this was important, because I remember briefly somebody talking about, even if it's a $500 vehicle and it's their primary mode of transportation to and from work, and they are deprived of that vehicle, that is a serious act, and there should be serious consequences. And I think that's what we're driving at, whether or not it's setting it back. I mean, if it's setting it back and it's going to be scrapped, you don't generally scrap a vehicle that has 4 aired up tires and runs well enough to be driven and to flee from law enforcement. So I think it's important that we take into consideration that, people's vehicles are important to them, and, well, not everybody can afford a vehicle that's worth more than $1,500.
Representative Heiberger, then Carmichael.
I would just point out this doesn't involve the fleeing part of law. I mean, this is in the theft statute, and the way I read it, it applies to any motor vehicle. I mean, I just want to clarify that. I'm not sure I disagree with you, but.
Representative Carmichael.
I don't think any of us, Mr. Chairman, disagree to any large extent.
Just change the amendment to currently registered.
May I continue, Mr. Chairman?
Hey, Kathy, you're not muted. Thanks for the input. Representative Carmichael.
Thank you. That might be a good idea. And the intent is probably good, but the black letter of the amendment that has been drafted here, it appears, would extend far beyond what was intended. A 1943 rusting pickup truck out in a field somewhere is not somebody's mode of transportation. It doesn't merit being a felony to, in essence, grab what's some scrap iron and go sell it. We've got a statute that deals with that. And so, as admirable as the representative's intent might be, the words, the black letter that we're putting into the law is something different. And our subjective intent here today means nothing. Only the black letter is what counts. So this is not a good idea. It needs to be fixed.
Further discussion? Seeing none, Representative Owens, you can close.
Well, maybe I could ask a question of the reviser if there is maybe a better way to accomplish. I mean, I think everybody agrees with the intent that we're trying to go with here. As a general idea, is there a better way? I don't know, just making it applicable to a registered vehicle? I'm not sure. It's just trying to figure out how to solve the problem without creating more problems.
Mr. Chairman, I am not a transportation reviser, so I would want to, before I would suggest something, I would want to consult with them. I'm not sure if there is maybe a definition that we could use somewhere else in the motor vehicle sections.
Representative Neely.
Could we not just put in the word functioning?
Let's go to Representative Carmichael.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Although functioning sounds like probably a good idea, I think that still remains quite vague. Actually, I think Ms. Rakestraw's suggestion is probably the best thing that we could do on the fly, the best that we can do on the fly, and just somewhere put in there a currently registered motor vehicle. Because if we're worried about somebody's principal mode of transportation being stolen and taken away, which is a very valid concern, if it's not a currently registered motor vehicle, they're not supposed to be driving it. And so, I mean, I think that would come a lot closer to accomplishing the intent of the maker of this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Owens.
Mr. Chairman, would it make sense to withdraw this motion for now and possibly have an amendment on the floor to clarify that? I mean, because I think that at that point it would be more of a friendly amendment, just to make sure we cover that.
So the options I see both involve you withdrawing your amendment. One would be we just pause and pick this one back up next week and have time to get the amendment where we want it. And I'm seeing nodding heads. Or option two would be what you'd said, which would be to proceed forward, not do this amendment and try it on the floor. Are we all okay? Let's just stop where we are and we'll pick this back up next week. Everybody online okay with that? Looks like I'm seeing nodding heads, so let's do that. We will continue to have Representative Owens work with Mr. Klump on this and maybe loop in Representative Carmichael and see if we can come up with something we can agree with on this. If not, we'll put it back on the list. Maybe we may try to work some next Wednesday, and if so, maybe this would be one we could do early next week. Committee, the only other one I had on the list was
Mr. Chair?
2227.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I never withdrew.
Oh, would you withdraw your second, Representative Hoheisel? Sure. Thank you. 2227 was on the list, but given we heard that one this week, there was a request that we had a little more time to potentially work on an amendment, so we're not going to hear that one today. That's it, guys. I appreciate the work. We will be back next week. Revised agenda will come out tomorrow as soon as we get the final bills put in. I can let you know, I think the ones that are going to be added, the two DUI bills that we had from the Judicial Council, and then we will add our the annual bill we do regarding the Open Meetings or Open Records Act, and the one that has to do with the closed case task force that you heard read in today that extends that and gives it some staff. I think those are the only four I intend to add. If that's not correct, double check the agenda tomorrow when it comes out to make sure, but I think that's all that's getting added at this point in time. Oh, that's not true. I'm also, and I've not even told Natalie this yet, I'm going to add the bids bill that got introduced today that has to do with the $80 floor. We're going to add that to Monday. But that will go out again with an update. As soon as we get the bills tomorrow, get bill numbers, we'll get a revised agenda out. So thanks, everybody. We will see you either in the morning or next week. Thanks. We're adjourned.